Have you ever stopped to think about what angels really do in the spiritual realm? I'm not talking about the angelic figures we see in movies or imagine with shiny wings. I'm talking about the angels described in the Bible, powerful beings with a divine mission that goes far beyond what we can understand. They are not just protectors or messengers, but direct agents of transformation in your spiritual life. Did you know that angels can be interceding for you right now, at the most crucial moment in your life? The Bible reveals secrets about the actions of angels that can completely change the way you view spirituality and divine protection. This video will open your eyes to the real role of angels in your faith journey, and I'll show you how you can connect with heavenly intervention in a powerful way. Stay with me until the end, because what you learn here could be the key to unlocking a new dimension of faith and protection in your life. And before you leave, subscribe to the Good channel. Did you know that many people who watch these videos aren't already subscribed? Don't miss any more life-changing content. Subscribe now and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss what's next. The divine purpose of angels, according to the Holy Scriptures, goes far beyond what many imagine. They are often seen as messengers who deliver messages from God to human beings, as in the passages that narrate angels announcing important events, such as the birth of Jesus. However, the mission of angels is multifaceted and involves much more than just transmitting words. They are sent by God to fulfill an essential role in the divine plan, which we often do not fully understand. The role of angels, as described in the Bible, is to actively participate in the fulfillment of God's will, whether in events of great spiritual importance, such as the revelation of divine mysteries, or in more discreet and everyday tasks, such as protecting the faithful and guiding them in times of need. Furthermore, angels have a purpose in protecting and strengthening those who serve God. They act as spiritual warriors who fight against evil forces, as we see in passages such as Daniel, where an angel fights the forces of evil to ensure the victory of God's people. This protective and warrior role is fundamental to the divine plan, since spiritual battles often go beyond our understanding and require divine intervention to ensure that good prevails. The mission of angels is not only to protect physically, but also to lead souls on the right path, guiding and instructing in times of doubt or affliction. They do not act independently, but always in perfect harmony with God's will, seeking to carry out His eternal plan for humanity, becoming living instruments of His grace and power. Angels perform a number of essential functions in the spiritual realm, ranging from protecting the faithful to carrying out divine orders. As messengers of God, they are the bearers of heavenly revelations, bringing divine teachings to men and women in times of need. In several biblical passages, we can see how angels play a role in guiding people toward the fulfillment of divine purposes. In the Old Testament, for example, the angel Gabriel appears to announce the birth of John the Baptist and Jesus, two key figures in the fulfillment of the plan of salvation. This messenger function is one of the best-known aspects of angels, but certainly not the only one. Furthermore, angels play a crucial role in spiritual protection and in combating the forces of evil. They act as heavenly warriors, participating in spiritual battles on behalf of human beings. Their presence can be felt in times of distress, when there is a need for divine intervention to face spiritual adversities. In the book of Revelation, angels are described as those who helped in the execution of the final judgment, fulfilling God's order and ensuring that justice was done. This demonstrates that the work of angels is not limited to passive events, but also involves direct action against the forces of evil, protecting those who are faithful and making God's will prevail over all things. The presence and action of angels in the spiritual realm are, therefore, fundamental to the execution of God's plan of protection, guidance, and justice. Angels play a primary role in protecting the faithful, a mission that is emphasized in several places in the Bible. In Psalm 91, for example, it says that He will command His angels to guard you in all your ways. This protection is not limited to the physical, but also encompasses the spiritual and emotional aspects of the lives of believers. Angels are sent by God to intercede in times of danger, acting as spiritual guardians who prevent evil from gaining access to the lives of those who trust in God. Throughout the Bible, we see that angels are not only beings who accompany the faithful in victory, but also protect them in times of great affliction. When danger is imminent, or when a person is in great need, it is at this time that angelic intervention may be most noticeable. In addition to physical protection, angels also protect the spiritual being, helping believers to remain firm in their faith. In many moments in biblical history, angels present themselves as messengers of comfort and encouragement, as seen when the angel visits Elijah to strengthen him after a great spiritual and emotional battle. These moments of intervention not only ensure physical safety, but also help restore spiritual strength, allowing believers to remain firm in their walk with God. This type of protection is a clear expression of God's love for His children, showing that angels are not just passive agents, but rather active in the fight against the forces of evil, caring for all aspects of the lives of those who are faithful to the Lord. Angels are spiritual beings shrouded in mystery. Despite being mentioned frequently in the Bible, many details about their true nature remain unknown. For example, in several passages, angels are described as powerful beings, but their physical appearance is often vague. In some passages, such as Ezekiel 1, they are described as creatures with multiple faces and wings, while in others, such as Gabriel's visit to Mary, they are depicted as more human-like, without any extraordinary physical characteristics. This mystery about the form of angels reveals that, although they have great importance in God's plan, their true essence is beyond our limited understanding. In many cultures and religions, the figure of angels has been transformed into images of beings with large white wings, but the Bible does not provide such specific details about their appearance. Furthermore, the behavior of angels also adds a layer of mystery. They act according to God's will, but they rarely have their own agenda or independent will. They do not engage in personal disputes or moral choices like humans do, but rather faithfully obey God's commands. This aspect of total submission to God's will, even in the face of His great power, is one of the most mysterious aspects of angels. Although they often play an active role, as when they free Peter from prison or announce the birth of Jesus, they do so not out of personal whim or desire, but as pure instruments of God's plan. This behavior, perfectly aligned with God's will, is a reflection of the harmony and perfection of the spiritual realm, where obedience to God's commands is a fundamental characteristic. Ultimately, angels remain figures shrouded in mystery, the full understanding of which will only be revealed in the heavenly realm. Angelic intervention plays a crucial role throughout biblical history, marking moments of great importance for the salvation of humanity. From the earliest accounts in the Old Testament to the most profound events of the New Testament, angels have been messengers and agents of change. In the book of Genesis, for example, we see angels interceding in the lives of Abraham and Lot, preventing the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. This divine intervention through angels shows that God is always attentive to the needs of His people, using His heavenly messengers to ensure that His will is fulfilled, even in times of crisis or imminent destruction. Furthermore, in times of great danger or adversity, angels appear as protectors, as in the case of Daniel in the lion's den, when an angel of God closes the lions' mouths and saves the prophet, demonstrating the powerful divine intervention. In the New Testament, the presence of angels is even more evident, especially in the birth and life of Jesus. The angel Gabriel, for example, plays a fundamental role in announcing the birth of John the Baptist and Jesus, establishing the beginning of the fulfillment of the messianic prophecies. During Jesus' ministry, angels are also described as those who strengthen the Savior in moments of greatest affliction, as in the Garden of Gethsemane, when an angel appears to comfort him after his anguished prayer. Later, after the resurrection, angels announce Christ's victory over death, and in the Acts of the Apostles, angels continue to act in the lives of the apostles, guiding and protecting them in their missions. Thus, angelic intervention in biblical history is not just a sequence of events, but rather a constant demonstration of God's power working through his messengers, always in favor of the fulfillment of his will. In the context of the final judgment, angels play a key role in carrying out divine orders as described in the Holy Scriptures, especially in the book of Revelation. The final judgment is the time when all human actions will be evaluated, and angels are responsible for acting as servants of divine justice. They are described as the agents who will be in charge of separating the wheat from the chaff, that is, separating the righteous from the wicked. In Matthew 13:49, Jesus explains that at the end of the age, the angels will come and separate the wicked from the righteous, a crucial role in the judgment process. These angels not only execute judgment, but also announce the judgment to come, setting the stage for the final manifestation of the kingdom of God. Their task is not only to judge, but also to fulfill the divine will regarding humanity, with impartiality and accuracy, fulfilling the Lord's orders without deviation. Furthermore, angels will also play an important role in restoring order and manifesting God's eternal kingdom. After the separation of the righteous and the wicked, it is promised that there will be a new heaven and a new earth, where justice will reign. The role of angels in this sense goes beyond executing judgment, for they are also part of the process of renewal and redemption of the world. In Revelation 21:1-2, John's vision describes a new heaven and a new earth, where there will be no more suffering or death. This moment of cosmic renewal is prepared and announced by angels who participate in the restoration of everything that has been corrupted by sin. Angelic intervention in the final judgment, therefore, is not only to exercise justice, but also to bring hope and the promise of a new reality where God's presence will be definitive and eternal. Many of the popular images of angels come from cultural and artistic representations that do not always reflect biblical reality. One of the most widespread ideas is that of angels as ethereal figures with large white wings, dressed in resplendent robes and appearing as serene and perfect beings. Although the Bible does describe angels with wings in some passages, such as in Isaiah 6, where the seraphim are described as having 6 wings, this is not a universal characteristic among all angels. In other passages, angels appear in a more human manner, without visible supernatural characteristics, such as the angel who appears to Abraham in Genesis 18. These representations may be symbolic or based on artistic interpretations, but the spiritual reality of angels goes beyond these simplified images. The true essence of angels in the Bible is their function and obedience to God, and not in an exact physical appearance. Another common misconception is that angels are inerrant and infallible beings. While they are perfect in their mission and completely obedient to God's will, the Bible also suggests that there have been times when angels have fallen, such as Lucifer and the angels who rebelled in heaven, as described in Isaiah 14 and Revelation 12. This fact reminds us that although angels have a clear divine mission, they are not immune to failure. However, the fundamental difference between these fallen angels and the angels who remain faithful to God is their continued obedience and willingness to act as instruments of His will. Thus, demystifying angels involves understanding that they are not perfect beings according to human standards, but rather servants of God, with a specific role in the divine plan, guided by justice, truth, and mercy. Recognizing the presence of angels can be a profound spiritual experience, although oftentimes angelic manifestations are not obvious or visible to the human eye. The Bible gives us some signs that can indicate the presence of angels in our lives, although it is important to remember that recognizing their presence can be subjective and depends on each person's faith and spiritual perception. In some passages, such as Hebrews 13:2, it is said that some have entertained angels without knowing it, suggesting that angels often present themselves invisibly or in disguise, in human form, or through supernatural events that are not immediately recognized. This implies that angels can often be with us in critical moments, offering protection, guidance, or even comfort, without us being fully aware of their presence. Additionally, some signs may be more evident in times of great need or danger, when divine intervention becomes more apparent. Many people report experiences in which they feel an inexplicable sense of peace or visible protection in times of danger, such as accidents or serious illness, and interpret these events as signs of the presence of angels. Such moments of angelic intervention are described in several biblical stories, such as when God's angel protects Daniel in the lion's den, or when an angel comforts Elijah during a time of great distress. Although the presence of angels is not always physically perceptible, the feeling of protection, comfort, and inner peace can often be a clear sign of their working in our lives. Recognizing the presence of angels is ultimately a matter of faith, and is something that can be felt spiritually, even without a direct physical manifestation. In the Bible, angels play an important role in prayer, not only as intercessors, but also as those who help deliver our prayers to God. In Revelation 8:3-4, we see a clear example of this, where the angel offers the prayers of the saints on the altar of God, showing that angels have the function of carrying our prayers before God. This act of intercession does not mean that angels are intermediaries between God and human beings, for the Bible makes it clear that the mediation of Jesus Christ is unique, 1 Timothy 2:5. But angels act as messengers of God, carrying our supplications to Him and helping to make our prayers more effective in fulfilling God's will. This reveals a fascinating facet of angelic involvement in spiritual matters, where they play an active role in facilitating communication between God and His children. Furthermore, angels also help to strengthen the faith of those who pray. Prayer can often be an act of great spiritual struggle, especially when we are facing difficult challenges. Angels, in this context, can offer encouragement and comfort, as was the case with Jesus when, after his agony in the Garden of Gethsemane, an angel appeared to strengthen him, Luke 22:43. Thus, angels not only assist in the delivery of prayers, but they also offer spiritual support, helping the faithful to remain steadfast in their faith. When we face moments of hopelessness or weakness, we can feel the presence of angels as a source of divine strength and protection. In this way, angels act not only as messengers of our prayers, but also as agents who help us grow spiritually, keeping us connected to God's will and strengthened in our journey of faith. Spiritual encounters with angels are described at various points in the Bible, and many view these experiences as profound manifestations of the divine presence. These encounters, whether through visions or direct physical experiences, often serve as moments of guidance, comfort, or even revelation of a specific divine plan. In the Old Testament, for example, angels often appear to give instructions or reveal the future, as in the case of Joseph, who received instructions from an angel on how to protect Mary and the baby Jesus, Matthew 2:13. These encounters are not just fleeting visions, but significant moments that alter the course of the experiencer's life. For Christians, such encounters are seen as a way for God to directly communicate His will, providing a sense of security and divine direction. The spiritual significance of these encounters can also be interpreted as a reminder of God's closeness and constant presence in our lives. In times of crisis or when we feel lost, angelic intervention is often perceived as a sign that we are not alone, that the kingdom of God is actively working on our behalf. Many people report feeling peace, comfort, and a renewed sense of faith after experiencing the presence of an angel, and these moments often result in a greater understanding of God's plan for one's life. Such spiritual experiences can serve not only as a validation of supernatural reality, but also as an affirmation of God's love, which manifests itself in many ways, including through his angels. Thus, encounters with angels are more than just mystical experiences. They are a call to greater intimacy with God and trust in his sovereignty. Now that you've discovered the true role of angels in the spiritual realm, how does this change your outlook on your spiritual life? Have you ever had an experience with angelic intervention? Share in the comments and let me know how it has impacted your faith. And if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Subscribe now and turn on notifications so you don't miss any more content that can transform your spiritual life. And don't forget to watch the next recommended video on the screen. You won't want to miss what comes next. Until next time, may God bless your journey. I'm Valentino and I'll be here waiting for you.